Welcome.
Hello. You're still here?
I can't believe we haven't scared you off yet.
Abby and Kat were born in 1997 and became best friends when they were 6. Grew up together and started a band and bonded over music ever since. 20 years later, they are all grown up and spend their free time analyzing lyrics. Now here they are talking all about their Lord and Savior, Dr. Taylor Allison Swift. Taylor, if you're listening, we love you.
Welcome to Swift Lore Podcast, where we dive into the lyrics and lore of our Lord and Savior, Dr. Taylor Allison Swift.
Absolutely, that's why we're here.
I am Kat.
I am Abby.
And we are mentally ill.
Yeah!
Not what I meant to hit, but we're going with it. We're yes-anding today.
No, because I had the same thought about that's how we're going to start. I was like, maybe we'll just say it in unison. That could be cute. And then I'm like, but I don't know if that's the vibe. Are we just going to go straight into it?
Brain cell ping pong da 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 da. So that's the vibe right now. Although we did have like some warm weather here, and I've been more productive in the 2 days that we had full sun and it was above 60 degrees than I have in the last month.
That makes sense. I feel like it's one of those things where like if a clean environment makes you more productive and like nice weather makes you more productive, that makes sense.
It's also because I actually put up the podcast set partially.
Look at this.
If you're watching this in video format, you can see I've got a Taylor behind me. Abby has a Lover poster behind her. We have our Eras Tour date poster over here. And then we have color changing sconces.
We do. Let's see if they show on the video.
They're pink.
Oh, snap. That's so cute, actually.
No, they're pink. We love a little backlight moment.
We do.
So we might play around with changing those depending on what album we're doing a song off of.
Yeah.
However, she has more albums than there are color options on the thing.
She be like that. She just out there putting out music.
She just out there.
Kat and I, should we just go out and say we both had Menty-Bs last week?
We sure did. we both are out here. We're both mental being it.
We're mental being. You know what my friend said to me today? She said, BYO-Menty-B.
Well, that's the episode title.
BYO-Menty-B to the party. Anyway, that's us.
That's us. That's ironically, we came up with this. This was one of the first like theme ideas that were jotted down on the brainstorm when we did Swift Lore ideas, and I just like randomly put it on the schedule for this week.
Yeah,
I think it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. The world was like, we really just want you to absolutely vibe with The Archer, and
this is me trying.
What a great way. I just very casually said that in there.
You really did do that. I love that for you.
We love that. So, we're just really feeling it. Did I cry while writing my notes? Maybe. Who's to say? Me. I did.
I'm crying so much all the time. My spreadsheet now, I mean, it's getting weird in there.
We're keeping track of how many times we've cried in 2024 for reference. If this is your first exposure to the pod.
Sorry if this is your first exposure.
It doesn't get better. Anyways.
Imagine they just tune in to this episode. They're like, oh, they seem unwell.
Yeah, so then they'd be right.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what I was saying. Our cry log. So we're just logging every single time that we've cried this year. And I've been doing like why I cried and how hard of a cry it was and the time of day. But mine's just in a notes app because I keep being like, when I have the mental energy, I'll put it into a spreadsheet. It's been two and a bit months since 2024 started. It's still in a notes app. And at this point, it's a long scroll.
It's a moment.
I should have done the backwards way of doing it, where like you just put the new entries at the top. But at this point, I'm too far in.
Yeah, now we're in it. There were a few things that I wanted to bring up as little announcements, and now do I remember them? No, I don't.
Taylor Swift wrote a song about my dog.
Oh, she did.
She announced the Black Dog variant for the Tortured Poets department. And before you tell us the black dog is a metaphor for depression.
No, it's a metaphor for Shakespeare. The dog.
Clearly Taylor has been listening to our podcast.
Taylor is our Tumblr 1 listener. I need to go.
I like that you combined Taylor and number on purpose. Yeah, so that's the last variant. I'm glad that's the last variant because I have bought all of them. But somebody told me that if you email Taylor Nation, you say, hello, I bought all 4 variants, they will ship them all together and refund you the extra shipping costs.
Oh, that's nice.
Which is great because that's going to save me like $25.
Yeah, that's nice.
So
So girl math,
I got an album free. It was buy 3 get 1 free.
That's exactly correct. Taylor's all about a deal, a BOGO.
Exactly. And you know what? There's bookmarks, and I needed bookmarks. Girl math.
No, that's so real and so true. I didn't buy any of them. I'm a fake fan. I'll be listening on Spotify.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
And I'll be illegally getting you all of the bonus tracks.
Oh, great. Thank you.
But the thing is that I don't have like a CD player. I listen to the CDs in my car. So it'll just be a voice memo from my car.
Well, wouldn't be the first time.
Wouldn't be.
But also, like, it's such a good thing that we hang out once a week.
It's yeah, that's a good thing.
We like can't get out of it.
Yeah.
Now we're in it.
Now we're in
I
it.
think
We're
that's
right down in it, as Taylor Swift would say.
She would say that.
She said it in Happiness.
No, I know.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were covering or if you were like
No,
when I reference the debut song and then I immediately have to make sure. But it's Evermore, of course you know it.
Yeah, Evermore got me through some stuff.
Debut was there.
Debut was there, and I was also there. I was being a little kid.
I listened to Debut for the first time in a long time this week.
Really?
It's so good. I can't believe that people listened to that album and said, "Oh, she writes breakup songs." There are like 4 songs about how hard it is to be a teenage girl. At least 4, maybe more.
Listen, I want to like it. I don't know if I'll like it just because I don't like more country stuff.
It honestly isn't too like it's like a half step past Fearless in terms of country.
Okay.
I feel like you're gonna like it when Debut TV comes out.
I'll have an appreciation for it, I'm sure. And maybe I think her voice has. Cat's like, you're gonna like it, and if you don't like it, you will.
And if you don't like it, I'm gonna trauma dump on you about it, about all the reasons I related to the songs when we were like 12.
Okay. He's a reason. Me at my throwback.
Can't relate.
I told a story once about how I sang that at karaoke at my
Yes,
grandparents' anniversary party. So I'm just bringing that back for the listeners that have joined for this episode.
For this episode only, I have you sang "Teardrops on My Guitar" for her grandparents' 50th anniversary party.
50th anniversary party. Heck yeah, I did. You know, I couldn't commit to saying heck or hell just then, so it came out as like helk, but we're here.
Helk.
We're here. We're queer.
Still at the restaurant. Helk.
Okay, we're getting the gigs out because this is going to be a rough one.
Yeah, it's all downhill from here, folks.
It's going to be a rough one. Kat just texted me. She said, bro, this is going to be a doozy of an episode.
I actually use the word doozy unironically. That's how bad it's going to be.
Yeah, and I agree. It will be.
So who goes first? Because there's not really any.
A great question.
I think I went first last week if you want to go first.
I can go first.
All right, the lights are already in our chosen folklore setting.
Oh, great. So perfect. Great. Fantastic.
We're out here.
Whew. All right, let me pull.
Unless you want to make them blue to match the depression.
I'm wearing a blue shirt.
She is.
And
it's so cute.
It says, I got wasted like all my potential.
Mood.
You know, for obvious reasons. This is me trying. That feels incorrect.
Nope.
This is me trying. That feels better. Yeah. Yeah, that feels better.
Yeah, the final trombone really drove it home.
Yeah. My first bullet point says, this one is a bit on the nose. Haha.
It's on my nose. It's about me.
It's about me for real. Okay. I'm going to say this now. We try to keep this podcast as light as possible. This song deals with very heavy themes. So, if you listen to the song that you know, if you're especially sensitive to topics such as suicide or substance use, I'm not going to go deep into anything, but the song does dive into that a little bit. So, if you are, then perhaps this isn't the episode for you.
Yes.
Okay. So, This Is Me Trying is the 9th track of Taylor's 8th studio album, Folklore, released July 24th, 2020.
I remember.
I also remember. What a song to release during that time.
I feel like I didn't even like, I know that I comprehended it at the time, but like I don't even remember what I felt about it because I just went, nope, we're deleting that from the brain.
Yeah, I can't remember if this one was one that really grew on me or if I was immediately obsessed with it. It's hard to say. But during that time, the pandemic, you guys know it well, like relatively early on, July.
Yeah, that was only less than 6 months in.
Yeah, we were still like 10 people only COVID circle.
We
Couldn't
listened
see
to folklore in my backyard sitting 6 feet apart from each other.
Yeah, and that's just the time it was. And some of the only things that were open during COVID at the very beginning were the essentials, such as liquor stores. Mm-hmm. And so I just remember, as someone who was, I think I was 23 at the time, liquor stores were open. That's like, what else was there to do? There were liquor stores and Chipotle.
I know that I'm somebody who I was drinking way too much at the start of the pandemic. I'd like had to do a full like dry month to like reset myself of it, because it was like not every day, but more often than it should be.
It was a really hard time for so many people, and the pandemic has made like mental health and mental health days so much less destigmatized. People talk more openly about it, which is all great and lovely, but this song really captures a feeling at a time, and I love it, and it hurts. The lyric video to this song is a drive-in movie theater screen, which makes sense because they mention that in the song.
And also those were open during the pandemic, I think.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That's like the only way you could go see movies.
Yeah.
Or streaming.
What a wild and crazy time, guys. What a wild and crazy time. You were all there, if you're listening. Wikipedia said that the narrator of This Is Me Trying proclaims themselves as an unwanted person who struggles with existentialism and alcoholism. And that just about covers it, I'd say.
Yeah, I feel like you can't sum it up better than that.
Yeah, but Taylor, so actually during the, oh, geez Louise, sorry, I'm just like.
You're like, sorry for my language.
Yeah, the people who can't tell us apart, I'm the wholesome one.
I'm the one who says fuck a lot.
Anyway.
Keeps threatening to fight people.
Yeah. Okay, so Taylor did a Long Pond studio session where she talked a lot about this song. Mm-hmm. So you can definitely check that out if you want to hear it from, her mouth. But I did touch on that a little bit. But she mentioned that she wrote these lyrics from different characters' perspectives. So it was inspired by her own emotions in the summer of 2016, 2017, when she said, and I quote, "I just felt like I was worth absolutely nothing." She also wrote it from the perspective of a person who is failing in a relationship, who feels like they'll never be enough, and a person dealing with substance use, specifically with alcohol. There's a lot there, a lot of deep, dark stuff.
Yeah.
Taylor recorded a stripped-down rendition of this song for the Disney Plus documentary Folklore: The Long Pond Studio Sessions, which I just talked about.
She can also, I know it's on Spotify. I'm guessing it's on Apple Music too.
Yeah, probably. It was also an Eras Tour surprise song, March 18th, 2023 in Glendale, Arizona. Could you imagine?
That was like day 2 of the Eras Tour.
Wild. That's just a wild.
I'm waiting for, she hasn't mashed this up with anything yet, I don't think. What if she mashes, no, she won't mash it. Wait, she has been mashing up main set list songs with surprise songs.
Really?
So it's possible she could mash up The Archer and This Is Me Trying.
If that happens.
Taylor, if you do that, give us tickets to Toronto.
Yeah, literally you have to invite us to your show if you do that because,
Because otherwise, how will our mental illness go away? Therapy? Ugh.
Oh, gosh. So anyway, it was also used in a promotional video released in August 2021 celebrating American gymnast Simone Biles' return to the 2020 Summer Olympics after she withdrew from several events due to medical issues.
She used This Is Me Trying in a promotional material?
That is what Wikipedia said.
Damn.
I know.
Damn.
Yeah.
Right, continue.
No, I know. And then it was also featured in the 7th episode of the first season of the American television series Gossip Girl 2021. Not the OG Gossip Girl.
The remake.
I haven't seen the OG Gossip Girl, but Blake Lively was in it.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. I don't know if Blake Lively is associated with the new one at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Who's to say? Blake
Love
Lively.
That for her though. Blake Lively, probably
Blake
the
Lively's
internet.
Yeah. If I did any sort of,
if I gave it a goog,
effort,
it'd be there. I haven't said give it a goog in a while.
You haven't. Someone messaged us. This was a while back now. Someone messaged us that another podcast used the phrase "give it a goog." We're making it happen, folks.
It's happening. Our influence.
Because that was the first episode we started saying that.
Yeah.
Just like how in the first few episodes we mentioned Joe a lot. So if If y'all ever want to say that we didn't like Joe before it got popular, we sure did.
We did.
We have the receipts. We have the proof.
You're welcome, Joe, for manifesting this for you. We were like, everyone needs to listen to Joe. And then what happened? Everyone listened to Joe.
I think we did it.
I think it was us.
I'm getting so aggressive about this. I keep knocking my headphones off my head.
It's fair enough. All right. This episode is going to be 3 hours long.
Okay. No, I'm going to get through it. Alexandria Lang from the Dallas Observer named This Is Me Trying as one of the most profound and underrated songs on folklore. And honestly, I fully agree with that.
I feel like a lot of people don't say this is their favorite song because it's such a hard listen. Mm-hmm. But like, it's a 10 out of 10 for me.
It's a 10 out of 10. And here's the thing. I listen to it a lot.
That's fair.
I love sad music, guys. I casually listen to sad music all the time. And this is one of those songs where I just so deeply understand it.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard, but it's so beautiful.
I feel like sometimes when you're having a bad day, like you want to listen to upbeat music to like turn it around. But sometimes you're like, I just need a song that will crawl into my pit of despair and like sit with me in the pit of despair. And that's when you listen to This Is Me Trying.
Yeah, I mean, like, emotions feed off themselves, right?
Yeah.
And like, if you want to be John Green, pain demands to be felt. And like, when you're feeling sad, which I frequently do, listening to sad music is a way to kind of nurture yourself as you go through it. So there you go. And this song was featured on a list of the best songs of 2020 by Teen Vogue.
Teen Vogue said, we get it.
Teen Vogue gets it, you know? All right. Now we get into the lyrical breakdown. I've been having a hard time adjusting. There's a lot of comparisons to The Archer in this song.
There are.
And this is one of them with like, I never grew up and it's getting so old. I've been having a hard time adjusting. I had the shiniest wheels, now they're rusting. This song is so much about like having potential and feeling like you're not living up to it. And she does say that later on. Obviously, I have that lyric on me currently.
On the boob. On the boob and on the brain.
Why'd you have to bring Big Ted into this?
Why'd you have to go full government name?
I just want the court to know I don't actually call it Big Ted. It's a joke.
It's just a bit. Don't worry.
It's a bit. Okay. British singer Paul McCartney. You can tell I copy pasted this from Wikipedia. Now let me rephrase
Paul McCartney, who spent less time on the Billboard charts than Taylor Swift. Suck at the Beatles.
Let me rephrase that. Paul McCartney, the guy that everyone knows because he's this extremely famous musician from the Beatles. He revealed that he wrote a song called Who Cares, inspired by Taylor's relationship with her fans following the Reputation era in 2017. And in that track he sings, did you ever get sad by the games they play when they're making you feel like a rusty old wheel?
Ouch.
And they're also buds in real life, Paul and Taylor.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
I knew that because my mom's obsessed with Dave Grohl, as we've said before. And there's a time where Dave Grohl and Taylor Swift were at a Paul McCartney party. Oh. And they were like, Dave, play something. And Taylor was like, oh, I'll go up. And so Paul McCartney started playing piano. And Dave like looked around and was like, looked to Taylor. He goes, what song is he playing? She goes, it's Everlong. It's your song. And then she like helped him sing it because he was very drunk.
That is so
that's
funny.
how I know that Taylor Swift and Paul McCartney are friends.
That's amazing. What a strange trio. I'm obsessed with it. This also reminds me of the song Bad Blood. It's something, it was shiny, now it's all rusted. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she's used that metaphor in the past. I didn't know if you'd care if I came back. Okay. Okay. Deep breaths here. First of all, Taylor has spoken about feelings like this on occasion. During the documentary Miss Americana, she said that when people fall out of love with you, there's nothing you can do to make them change their mind. They just don't love you anymore. I just wanted to disappear. Nobody physically saw me for a year, and that was what I thought they wanted. And that's so sad that she felt like that way. And so incredible that she managed to come back stronger than ever, you know? But the idea of, I didn't think that you'd care if I came back. I feel like everyone else would be better off if I wasn't around, is a really common feeling for people who do struggle with depression. And that line just really hurts. It really hurts.
I do. too.
She says a couple of times in the song, I have a lot of regrets about that. And, you know, we've talked about the word regret a couple of times in the past. She doesn't use it often. And when she does, that's how you know it's very powerful. Folklore is not necessarily an autobiographical album in any way. I think any songwriter is going to pull from truth somewhere.
Yeah.
So this can be about anybody or anything. It's just about a feeling and emotion at a place and time. But like regret is a powerful concept to her always.
Yeah.
And so I think that carries through in this song. Pulled the car off the road to the lookout. Could have followed my fears all the way down. Here we get again to the ideation of it all. She's literally at the edge of this cliff looking down, very much hoax. Is it hoax where she's screaming, give me a reason?
Yeah.
I always get hoax and exile confused in my head.
They both got X's. Just like us, for real.
Relatable, am I right?
I'm incapable of letting it be serious for more than 2 minutes.
I know. It's hard. This is a really hard conversation. This is so different from our usual fare, but
yeah,
hang in with us. So there was a conversation between Taylor and Jack where they talked about this line, and Jack Antonoff, sorry.
Of course.
I'm on first name basis with him. Me and Jack, you know. So Jack said, I love that. He said, Jack said, I love that. The idea that not driving off the cliff is an act of trying, and it's like the ultimate act of trying. What just such a powerful thing where like she could have escaped everything. She could have metaphorically, literally, hypothetically, whatever, got off the cliff and escaped everything and just said goodbye to everything, but she didn't. She's at this person's doorway, even though she doesn't know what to do, where to go, what to say, but she's there. Throughout this song, I compare it to Betty and Back to December quite a bit. So I'm here in your doorway, and this is me trying. Betty, I'm here on your doorstep in, you know, that song. Betty, obviously. And then in Back to December, it's just an apology song. So the chorus, I just wanted you to know that this is me trying. So what she ends up saying when she's at this door is she's just like, I don't know what to say. I can't excuse anything that I've maybe done in the past. I don't even know where to begin. But like, I'm letting you know that I could have followed my fears all the way down. And I didn't do that. I'm here. And I want to try to make this work. And I want to try. And I want to get better. And this is, I literally broke my own heart with this when I wrote this. I made a little note here for this chorus. Like, this is me trying. This is what it looks like when I'm doing my best. I know it's not good enough, but it's all I have.
Spear barked at that.
Yeah.
It was a forlorn bark.
It was forlorn. Then we get into the second verse. They told me all my cages were mental, so I got wasted like all my potential. I remember from the jump, that was the line where like you and I were just like, I got wasted like all my potential. Like, what an excellent play on words.
Just, it's so good. She's just such a clever lyricist. And she's just, I love the way that she takes common phrases and just twists them to give them like a deeper meaning and just make you look at them in a totally new light. I feel like she did that a lot on Folklore, and it's just so good.
The lyricism is just incredible. And I love the play on words, but also this concept of like the gifted kid to the anxious adult pipeline.
We're all there.
So let's take a moment to talk about that, because that's a thing. When you're a kid and you have like so much potential, people are telling you all the time, this is some people's experience, not all people's experience, but let me say my experience, being told that I had so much potential and just never feeling like I'd be able to live up to that. And then as I got older and I started like being on the same level as all my peers and falling behind my peers, and then being like, well, what happened to everything that I was told when I was growing up?
Yeah.
And then it just becomes this endless cycle of like, well, I can't fulfill that. I'm a failure. I'm, da. And then you become a pathological people pleaser. Then you go to therapy, and then you become a therapist.
Not personal experience at all.
That's just one potential pathway.
See, I was in enrichment in elementary school, so I can't relate.
Yeah, we had I've actually been watching Abbott Elementary recently. Have you heard about the show?
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it yet. I'm not good at getting into comedies.
Oh, it's very good. It's documentary style, like Parks and Rec, and it's about a public school. And there is just an episode about an episode that I watched about the gifted students and how it can make other students feel left out.
That was me. I was the left out ones.
Yeah. And so I've been thinking about that a lot, and I want to be really sensitive to that. My personal experience is that I was in the gifted programs growing up, and not everyone was. So that's where I'm pulling from.
That's fine. I got told I had potential by not the outside sources. My grandma said I was very smart.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? She's right.
I also just did not apply myself until the 4th grade.
School is so weird, and it's not a measure of intelligence. It's not a full measure of intelligence, I should say. There's so many different ways to be intelligent, and that's something that they talk about in Abbott Elementary in that episode. I just thought that was really poignant, so I'm bringing that up, and if you watch the show, then you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I think that emphasis on only academic success is real success growing up can really stunt people, because I know I remember going to college and having friends who were always in all APs and gifted and stuff, and they got a B on something, and they were had a breakdown about it. And it's that's a good grade. That's a good grade. You shouldn't be losing your mind over getting an 87 on something.
And that was me. Growing up and knowing, okay, I can get good grades. I know how to do that. I can control that. Let me focus everything onto academia, and then all of a sudden my self-worth becomes tied with my grades. But when you get to college and even later in high school, or literally at any point, perfection and getting A's on everything it should not be the standard. It should not be the norm, and it can't really be. It's not sustainable. Yeah. But when you get an 87, all of a sudden it's well, that's worse than how I was. I started off so much higher. Why am I worse now?
Yeah. And then it's just, instead of that being oh, well, that means I can improve, it becomes a shame spiral. Yeah. Because if you only get compliments for being smart, then your source of compliments just went away. And that's, it's easy to tie your self-worth to how other people perceive you.
Yeah. And that's just talking about academic potential. There's so many other different things, musical potential. A lot of kids get into music and are prodigies, or seen as prodigies, or told that they're prodigies, and then feel like they can't keep up as they continue to grow. I'm sure Taylor could be pulling from an academic experience or a musical experience or a ton of different things, or it's a fictional character, or she's talking about you specifically. Who's to say? But yeah, it's a really interesting conversation, this concept of not living up to the potential that everyone told you that you had. And then on the flip side, finding your own potential later on. But that's later. That's not in this song. My words shoot to kill when I'm mad. So she's taking responsibility for speaking in anger and saying things that she maybe wouldn't normally say. Connection to, I've been the archer, I've been the prey.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll talk about this. Again, she has regrets about that. I was so ahead of the curve became a sphere. Fell behind all my classmates and I ended up here.
That line is so I that's my favorite line of this song, I think.
It's one where I didn't really get it until I sat down and thought about it for a while.
Yeah.
Because I'm what does that even mean? And it's that exact potential thing. I was so ahead of the curve that it just circled back around, and now I'm behind them.
Yeah. Because also when you're seen as a prodigy or gifted or whatever, it sets you apart from people, and then sometimes you can kind of lose some of the experiences that you would have gotten if you were the same as everyone else. I'm doing air quotes for the people who are just listening. You lose something else by gaining this, academic or musical or whatever advantage.
Yeah.
And then you end up behind them because once that potential once you're not meeting that alleged super potential, whatever, then you're well, I did all that work and I did all this stuff to get ahead, and now I'm not ahead and I lost out on all these experiences. What's that one movie? Is it Booksmart? Where it's yes, I think it's Booksmart, where they're it's right before or after their high school graduation. I only got 10 minutes into it. It's cringy comedy, which I just cannot do.
I know, because I was watching it with you.
Yeah. But the whole concept is that they were book smart for their entire high schools to get into these Ivy Leagues. And then they were all these popular jocks and stuff who messed around. They also got into the same schools as us. And we lost out on all these social experiences and all of this fun that we could have been having by focusing on studies when they ended up in the same place as us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's alienating and it's isolating. And then you just miss out on so much trying to sustain this impossible task, basically.
Yeah. And then you go to college and you go fucking crazy because you didn't go out in high school and you don't know your limits.
Yep. And then you become a super anxious adult. Brought to you by Swiftlore.
Wow. There's a harmony.
So, this is one of my favorite quotes of all time, I think, that I've ever pulled.
Okay.
It's better than the Olive Garden quote.
Better than the Olive Garden quote.
Maybe not. That was pretty good.
That was so good.
Rolling Stone critic Rob Sheffield said,
He said giggles.
sorry. Okay, it's about I was so ahead of the curve became a sphere line.
Okay.
He said, Taylor could have invented geometry, but Euclid couldn't have written this song. Rob Sheffield, I love you.
That's so real.
She could have invented geometry.
But whoever invented geometry could not have done this.
I wrote Euclid, and that could very well be wrong, and I could be pronouncing it wrong.
Sounds,
Everyone knows
yeah,
I
that's
can't
like
read.
Greek-ish.
Yeah.
And everyone knows I don't do math because gay.
Yeah. I mean, I love math, but I can't read, so, it is what it is. For those who've just tuned in for the first time in this podcast, it's a bit that I don't know how to read.
We can both read.
We can.
I think we all sing.
I think we all read. Okay.
I
So
have a book. I do read.
I read. I read just this morning. That's not even a joke. Why are we laughing? Okay. Whew.
I had water in my mouth. The effort that it took to not spit take all over this expensive equipment. You're welcome.
Oh, no, I do thank you for that. Okay.
This is me trying.
This is Kat trying. So this next line, pouring out my heart to a stranger, but I didn't pour the whiskey. I wish I could say that I came up with this take. I didn't. I always look over Genius just to see what they have to say, and then I pull from there, pull from other places. But when she talks about a stranger, it can mean a couple of things. So she could be sitting at a bar talking to a stranger. That would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Or talking to a stranger outside of a bar, but whatever. A literal stranger is what I'm trying to say.
I don't know if this is in your notes. It could also be AA.
Oh, it could be AA.
Because that's, Alcoholics Anonymous.
That's
I don't
true.
know if that's a thing outside of the U.S., but
Yeah.
that's where you go and sit in a church basement and talk about your alcoholisms as
Right.
when you're in recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. I didn't have that written down, so that's another option.
I honestly didn't think about it until just now when you were like, it could be a literal stranger. I'm like, well, they got anonymous in the title. That's
Yeah. So it could be a literal stranger. It could be a stranger as in us listening. She's pouring her heart out to us. Or it could be a stranger as in a psychotherapist, where she's sitting and pouring her heart out to this person that she doesn't even know.
I wonder also if I don't think this is right, but I think it's another concept. This person's getting sober and realizing that they don't really know the people around them. So it's they're pouring their heart out to somebody that technically they know, but it's kind of like a stranger because they don't really know them because they've just been, struggling with sobriety for so long.
It could be. But the effort is there. In any of those instances, she's saying she didn't pour the whiskey. She didn't give in to temptation, and she is actually trying to go against these unhealthy coping mechanisms that she's been having. I compared it to Dear Reader because she says, my fourth drink in my hand, these desperate prayers of a cursed man spilling out to you for free. And in Dear Reader, she's talking to the readers, the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that theory ties in a little bit. We get back into the chorus, and then the post-chorus where she just goes, at least I'm trying, and it just hangs in the air as this breathy, sorry, I talk with my hands and I hit Kat on accident.
Ow.
It's such a beautiful little moment that's also so devastating.
And I think also one thing with people when they deal with alcoholism or other substance abuse issues and they get sober, it takes a really long time to build back trust with the people in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a huge hurdle for people when they get sober and they're trying to change, but when people run out of chances, they run out of chances. And like,
Right.
it can be hard to keep going when like other people don't believe in you. So I think her being like, I didn't pour the whiskey and at least I'm trying.
Yeah. There's just such like a desperation and a helplessness to it. Like, I know that I'm still messing up. I know that I'm still doing such and such and such, but like there's this one thing that I'm really working on and I'm going to continue to try to do that thing. And like, at least I'm doing that. Like, you have to believe me.
Yeah. And like, you can't go back and undo the things that you've done in the past, but at least I'm trying to not do it again in the future.
Right. We get to the bridge and she says, it's hard to be at a party when I feel like an open wound. In Betty, if I just showed up at your party. I wrote that Betty is similar in that it's an apology song, but that Betty is the far more naive, simple, lighthearted version of this song.
It's kind of like how August and illicit affairs parallel each other. And August is like the teenage version and illicit affairs is the grown-up version.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, wait, we can talk about that in the Betty episode, but James, you suck.
Boo, James. We are
Boo,
a James
James.
hate podcast.
Not my brother, though. He's cool. It's hard to be anywhere these days when all I want is you. Okay. All right, let's take a deep breath. What all she wants is you. It could be the person that she's at the doorway of, the person that she's talking to. Or she could be talking to herself and her old self is all she wants. Like, all I want is you. I want to be my old self again, but I'm still trying to find it.
And it also could be whatever, like alcohol.
True. Yeah. It says, you're a flashback in a film reel on the one screen in my town.
I think I've seen this film before.
There's a lot of movie references through I wrote the Everlore era.
Yeah.
Hoax, Exile, The One. Just lots of references to movies and also just this small town aspect. Hit you again.
That's fine. I put my leg there.
So you're a flashback. You're a memory of a more simple life that I used to have, where we could just go to drive-ins and hang out, and where perhaps I was happy and not in the state that I'm in now. And that's basically it, you guys. She's just saying, I just wanted you to know this is me trying. At least I'm trying.
Ouch.
And then it kind of just, the outro music is just like, I can't even explain it.
It's got like a cinematic quality to it. It's
It
almost like
does.
this is part of the flashback on the film reel, on the one screen.
I
in your
almost
town.
hear the, if you listen really closely, in my head, I can almost hear like the click of like film reel. I don't know if I'm making that up or if it's just an association because she talks about a film reel, but I can almost hear it. Maybe.
Knowing Jack Antonoff and how he likes to add like layered sounds for an ambiance, I wouldn't be surprised.
True. Jack Antonoff, the man that you are, the producer that you are.
I just remember like Jack Antonoff tangent. I remember when like 1989 came out, Taylor was talking about like meeting Jack and working with him for the first time and saying how one of the first times she hung out with him or was working with him, he like stopped on the street and just recorded the sound of like a specific bus passing because he thought it would be interesting.
I love that.
And then, you know, that's the kind of stuff that you don't notice, but like
Yeah.
subconscious feelings with different sounds and associations. I think that's something that he plays with in his production.
So does Phineas.
That doesn't surprise me. They're both great producers.
I know in an interview once Phineas talked about like in Bad Guy, there's literally a sound in the background that was just like a street crossing noise that he just recorded and put in the song.
That's amazing.
And I just love that. Producers are so fascinating to me. It's an area of strength that I do not have, but love it for the people who do. My discussion question, I want to try to put a positive spin on it because that's just me. What's something that you do that you're really proud of?
I'm buffering. I feel like I decided to self-publish my book that I wrote I finished it like a little over a year ago, and trying to get traditionally published is hell, and my options were basically shelve it or self-publish it, and I decided to do self-publishing, even though it's a lot more work than traditional publishing because it's all me doing everything. So
That's amazing.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh my gosh. There's so much that I'm proud of right now. My schedule is so wild. I am in grad school, which is so busy for people who are in grad school or have been in grad school. And I feel like on this podcast, and then also like in my writing and in my interactions with friends, I really try to promote mental health and well-being. Also, I work as a counselor, so I promote it there too.
Hell yeah.
And that's something that's really important to me, and I'm proud that I'm able to do that because of where I came from and all the experiences that I've had.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. We made it through one.
Now it's time for the Archer.
And
we need to change the lights to pink.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
There we go. Now we got, if you're watching it, now we have pink backlight.
This is
it's
very
so
fun.
cute.
It's so
I'm
fun.
so obsessed with this.
We did I reached out to bestie Sylvia, a friend of the podcast, and she wanted to talk a little bit about The Archer because she loves that song, because it's a great song. And so I have a little Zoom moment with her and recorded it. I'm going to put a little clip of her talking about it now. She's our listener from Sardinia in Italy. She's awesome and wonderful and a Swiftie, and we love her.
We stan.
We do. And there's a much longer conversation where we talk about like her becoming a Swiftie and learning English through Taylor Swift's music and things like that. And so we'll probably put that on our YouTube as a bonus thing. So stay tuned for that.
It'll be linked in the show notes.
Yeah. But here's our bestie Sylvia talking about The Archer.
So for any mistakes, just putting it out there. English clearly is not my first language. In any case, like the pod makes me think a lot about Taylor and why it's so important for me. Why do I like her so much? And I realized that The Archer can be considered the song that turned me into a Swiftie. It's kind of a people pleaser's song, I think. Because it's very like, I've been the archer, I've been the prey. To me, sounds like, you know, when you just want to have a relationship with people and you do everything you can to be liked. So you are the pursuer, you are the person who's being pursued, like you try it all. And I think it's a song that really explains that feeling very well.
And we're back.
So The Archer, it is on Lover. It is track 5, the track 5. As we know, Taylor likes to use track 5 as the emotional heart of the album and like kind of the message that everything else relates to and stems from in some way. So The Archer as the heart of Lover is such an interesting choice. Obviously, an album called Lover, you'd expect it to be a lot of like love songs and cute, and a lot of it is very upbeat, happy love songs, but there's this undertone of insecurity and like instability throughout the album that really just The Archer ties together where that insecurity and where those issues stem from, and the rest of the album shows the different ways that they manifest, because even in, you know, happy songs, there's still that note, like False God, you listen to it and you're like, ooh, fun, sexy song. And then you like listen to the lyrics and you're like, oh, this is such an insecure song.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that Ep 1.
We sure did.
The Archer is another Swift and Off masterpiece. And one thing that I love about the production in this is that the beat just never drops. It just keeps feeling like it's building and then it never drops. And it really mimics how anxiety feels, because you're constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop in every situation, and even if it doesn't, you're like, but next time it might. So it doesn't, like, it's confirmation bias. You're just waiting for the bad thing to happen. If it happens once, that every single time you're like, it's gonna happen again, and I'm just waiting for it because I won't be caught unawares again.
A long time ago, I read somewhere on the internet that anxiety feels like that moment where your chair is falling backwards, except just like constant.
Yep.
That's exactly how it feels. It's awful and terrible. And this song definitely does mimic that feeling. It just keeps going and it never quite has that like explosion or that resolution.
Yeah. It's very unresolved. There's a lot of, like, the most resolution you get is the "you could stay" at the end. But even that, I mean, we'll get there, but spoiler, she repeats the first line of the song at the end. So even when there's a slight resolution, it still cycles back to the beginning.
Yeah.
This song has been performed many times because it is the closer for the Lover era on the Eras tour, which, what a closer.
I know.
Like, she's like, all right, you heard Cruel Summer, you heard Miss Americana, you said gay rights, and now here's all of my deep-seated insecurities.
Okay, but I love that for her, though.
I do love that, and I also love that when she does the You Could Stay, she points at the crowd.
Yeah.
And then I think there was a fan project at one of the shows where people held up signs that said we could stay.
Cute.
So we love that.
I also don't understand. Sorry, I just got a caught a glimpse of Kat's notes.
I pointed at them after I yelled at her last week.
It's okay. It's okay. We're in it.
We're in it.
She cut it out of the Eras Tour movie originally.
And it's supposed to be back.
Yes.
Which also, she moved with the release time of the Eras Tour movie by like 3 hours. Spirit, you're okay, buddy. You're okay.
Spear is living the Archer right now.
You're not the Archer. You're not the prey. Nobody's leaving.
We could stay. We will stay.
She's mad because I left her to go to the weed store.
She's ready for combat.
She's always ready for combat. Oh my God.
Just like you.
Just like me. The song was also performed at some select shows in 2019 when she was doing Lover era promo. The first time it actually was played was, I guess there was a Lover experience in New York City. And she played it a day before the album came out. So the people that were there got to hear it first.
Wow.
I think she posted it also that day, but like might have been live streamed. Either way, it debuted a day before the album did. And then she also played it for her Sirius XM set and BBC One Radio Live Lounge, and most notably Lover Live in Paris. For my,
this is what we were laughing at.
Happy laugh is for personal connection notes. I just wrote a smiley face. I was like, we don't have time to unpack all
of that. Yeah.
But I do think, like, I mean, everybody who's ever gotten their heart broken goes into their next relationship with some sort of baggage and some sort of triggers that are going to bother them when they, you know, get into things. And the insecurities that you come with into a relationship. So hashtag relatable.
It's so relatable.
So my overall just interpretation of the lyrics, like I said earlier, Lover is a very anxious album. I think Reputation is really the love story. And then Lover is that anxiety that comes when you're in a relationship that's healthy and you realize that you have all of these habits from past unhealthy or just bad relationships where you're just trying to work through them because you know, like, logically, you're like, I know that you are not going to do the same thing to hurt me that other people have. However, what if you do?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times when you get into a healthy relationship, it can trigger a lot of stuff that you were just repressing, because once you have that sense of psychological safety,
yes,
a lot of stuff pops up because you exit fight or flight mode.
That, I mean, I can speak to that from personal experience, and then also just because I see it all the time, right? Like when you come from chaos or traumatic experiences, bad relationships, whatever you come from, once you're in a place where you're no longer experiencing that, all you do is wait for it to happen again.
Yeah. And it takes a really long time to stop waiting for something bad to happen.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you still are just like, but what if something bad happens again?
Because it could, because you've experienced it.
Yeah.
It's hard to trust that something is real, that something is healthy after that.
Yeah. Combat. I'm ready for combat.
We're in the lyrics now?
We're in the lyrics now.
We're in it. No, we're in it.
I have a note for literally like every line of the song.
Okay, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for combat.
I wrote long story short connection and I forgot to look up the lyric. This is one of the lyrics. I don't know why this is the one that stalls in my head, but she talks about like burying the hatchet, but like knowing where it is. I can't remember the exact lyric. This is my downfall. I say I don't want, so combat, I'm ready for combat. I say I don't want that, but what if I do? So again, what we were just talking about, you want that peace, you want a healthy, committed relationship, but if you've only ever known combat and anxiety, then it's hard to move past that and find peace because you're constantly thinking things are going to go wrong, and it's easier to fall into bad habits that you know than to try to reshape your life for good habits a lot of times. Because cruelty wins in the movies.
More movies.
Because cruelty wins in the movies. Connecting it to later in the song, which says, "All of my heroes die all alone."
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember I took a creative writing class, in college because I minored in creative writing as an English major girly. And I had a professor who was like, you have to have conflict in your story. Something has to go wrong, because if you just write a story that's like sunshine, unicorns, rainbows, it's not interesting. Nobody wants to read a story with no conflict.
Right.
So if you romanticize all these heroes and they're always going through something and they're always struggling and having these big conflicts, then you kind of idolize this pain and suffering. The story ends when things get happy.
Mm-hmm.
Or they become a side character.
Right. Yeah. Like the entertainment comes from the conflict.
Exactly. Once things are resolved, I mean, nobody really talks about that.
Yeah. I always say that it's far easier for me to write about sad things than happy things because, one, it's more interesting, but two, like, when I'm happy, I want to go be happy.
Exactly. And it's like also reading about somebody being happy when you're not happy is like painful. And reading about somebody being sad is fine no matter what state you're in.
Yeah,
like if you're sad, then you're like just like me, and then if you're happy, you're like just like me last week.
Right, exactly. Always relevant to sadness.
Always relevant. I've got 100 thrown out speeches I almost said to you. We've all drafted breakup texts in the Notes app. We have all been there.
Oh, yes.
To me, that's what this line is about, is like the 100 thrown out speeches of like why we should end things, why it's not going to work out, why it's doomed, and that we shouldn't even try because, relationships are seen as forever or failures, which is such a bad take. Sometimes, even if a relationship doesn't last forever, it can still be meaningful and helpful and good for you. Because, she talks about on Folklore, will it be enough if I never give you peace? So this idea of her knowing that, like, life with her is always going to be chaotic and there's always going to be prying eyes. There's always going to be people with opinions. So if it's not enough, then she wants to cut and run before she can get more invested. But she's already clearly so invested in this.
One thing that it makes to like connect this whole verse so far together, like she's saying, I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to be in conflict and have these really difficult conversations. And at the same time, she's like, I say I don't want that. No, I don't want to fight. But what if I do want that? Like, what if I want to tell you these things that I'm feeling, these conflicts that I'm having within myself? Would that be so bad? Would you listen to it? Would you be receptive to it? Or should I just keep shutting down and then feeling bad about myself? Like, there's so much going on here.
Yeah.
In so few words.
Yeah. And then also the idea of like, if you bottle stuff up, eventually it's going to come out. And then, I mean, the miscommunication trope in media is my personal least favorite. I hate miscommunication. It's
me too.
The only time it was good is 12th night. Every other time, bad.
But the thing is, that's life because people don't just communicate.
Yeah.
My therapist always says conflict builds intimacy, and I think about that a lot because once you're able to talk about those difficult things, it does make it easier to talk about it the next time.
Yeah. And another thing about the thrown out speeches, connecting it back to the idea of her feeling like everything has to be this like epic cinematic moment. She feels like she can't just have like a heat of the moment, like here is what I am feeling, and it can't be like messy and real and raw because she feels like it needs to be this cinematic, beautiful, well thought out monologue speech.
Wow, I love that. I never even thought about it that way before.
Neither did I until today, looking at it.
Wow. Easy they come, easy they go.
So lose him how you got him for cheating, but like, what if she's just PEMDAS applying that to places where, like other things, like if it's so easy to fall in love, is it going to be that easy to fall out of love too?
It also makes me think of 1 for the money, 2 for the show. I never was ready, so I watch you go. Carry on.
I jump from the train. I ride off alone. Just this idea of like, at the end of a movie, the happily ever after, you ride off into the sunset. But instead of doing that, she puts herself in the path of danger for the plot, for it to be exciting and new, to ride off alone and to end up alone.
And these comparisons and these images that she's creating are very cinematic. They're very much what you see in the movies.
And she's talking about how, I feel like everything has to be the cinematic magical thing, so I'm making it a cinematic magical thing, even though it's hurting me to do that.
Yeah. Like, this is probably one of those thrown out speeches.
Yes. I mean, we do know, I forgot to mention this earlier, but The Archer did start as a poem and then got converted into a song. I never grew up. It's getting so old. When you experience traumatic events or something at a young age, some sort of big cataclysmic something, it can stunt your development in different ways. Yep. And unless you deal with it, it's hard to move past it. And you can get stuck in these cycles that you should, I'm doing air quotes, grow out of. But like you get stuck into that mindset because your brain is like the literal chemistry of your brain gets changed by the event and by the trauma. Yeah. And so if you don't deal with it, you can't move past it. But then also, even if you do deal with it and you're working on it, you still have times where you reset. And it is so hard. It gets so old because you think you've made all this progress and then something happens and you're back where you started and you're like, I already did this. I already went through this. This should be over.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, you said it better than I could right now. Also, the play on words is amazing. With like never grow up and it getting old. Like the young and old of it all.
Yeah.
And then also the song Never Grow Up. I have nothing really else there.
Yeah, like the idea that she said, "Oh, never grow up," and it's like you can't not grow up, because if you never grow and you never change, then it gets so old.
But she was telling she was trying to tell her former self never grow up, and then she never grew up, and look where that got her.
Yeah.
Big sad. Sads all around.
Help me hold on to you.
Ow.
She just desperately wants this relationship to work, and she wants to keep him, and she's trying so hard to be honest here, and even as she's trying to be honest, she's still dressing up her feelings and mythologizing them and making them into something cinematic, even as she's sitting there saying, I wish I didn't do this, and I hate that I do this, but I can't not do it. It's so ingrained in me, and I don't know how to just have a peaceful relationship. So she's saying, help me hold on to you, because she's like, this is what I want, and I will hold on to you in New Year's Day. But she needs help to stay there, because this is what she wants, but she doesn't know how to have it.
I don't like it.
I forgot about the New Year's Day thing until I was just talking.
Like, I like it in a way that hurts.
I've been the archer. I've been the prey. And I know places. They are the hunters. We are the foxes. So there she was just thinking of herself as the prey. But then here she's gotten to the point where she realizes that she has also done things to hurt people. And people have done things to hurt her. But she understands both sides of it. And even though she says, I never grew up, she did grow up. She does understand that her actions also impact people the way that other people's actions impact her. Mm-hmm. Who could ever leave me, darling? The mythos of Taylor Swift TM. The idea of who she is, this like the blank space concept of like who people make her out to be as this like crazy, fun, like talented artist who's just like so smart and so on it all the time, and it's impossible to live up to that image that the world has created. And also I'm the best thing at this party, but who could stay? And I wouldn't marry me either.
I was so mad that I forgot to make this comparison when I covered You're Losing Me.
I didn't think of it until like I had to like add it. I was like, okay, I have to say this. I have to say this. This is a separate note from the normal comment. Like it's a sub comment because I wanted to point it out so strongly.
Yeah, no, it's the fact that these feelings have been there all along. That just is a running theme for our music.
Yeah. But who could stay? So who could stay with someone that has all the baggage that comes along with the mythos of Taylor Swift? Mm-hmm. All the press attention, the stalkers, the constant attention, constant being watched, every single move that you make being scrutinized. But, outside of the Taylor Swift TM experience, it's still applicable to real life. And she does that thing where she's talking about a very specific experience, but in a way that makes it relatable to other people. Like the idea of feeling like you're easy to fall in love with or easy to get into a relationship with, but then hard to stay with and like hard to be tolerated.
Well, it's also like, again, you have this, you've been told, it's like I got wasted like all my potential. Like you're being told that you're this great, amazing thing, that they're in love with you, but now you just have to live up to that expectation. And what if you can't?
And I feel like a lot of times it's really easy when a relationship starts to become like to change yourself to be who you think the other person wants you to be. And then when you start actually being yourself and you start letting them in more, like issues develop because they have an image of you in your mind, in their mind, and you have an image of them in your mind. And it's not true. Because we love making up stories. We love filling in gaps with who people are. I do this a lot and it's not good because then I give people more grace than they need. But that's not for this podcast. Dark side. I search for your dark side. So she knows from past experience, everybody has to have a dark side. Everybody has to have something that they don't like about her that they're waiting for to come out. Everyone gets fed up and leaves her eventually. So she's just waiting for that other shoe to drop. She's waiting for the dark side to get revealed and for them to hurt her because that's all she's ever known. But what if I'm all right here?
Yeah.
I don't know the all right here. Obviously, like the use of right. Good job. My brain is just shutting down. She's just trying so hard to find something wrong with him and wrong with their relationship. But the truth of there being nothing wrong is harder to face than there being a dark side. Like if there was an issue that she could pinpoint and be like, okay, we just need to work on this. But there's so much anxiety in being like, nothing is wrong. And I know that eventually something has to be wrong. But the fact that I'm waiting for something to go wrong is worse than there being something wrong.
Yeah. I mean, everything Taylor does seems intentional, but just, it's like she's stuttering to even get the words out when she's saying, what if I'm all right here? But she can't even, like, that's so unfathomable.
Yeah. And I cut off my nose just to spite my face. Cutting off your nose to spite your face is a phrase for doing something to try to hurt someone else and then ending up hurting yourself more. She's sabotaged relationships. We've talked about this before, like Getaway Car, where she kind of self-sabotages in a way because she thinks that the relationship isn't going to work out. Same with Back to December, Midnight Rain. She decides that even though nothing is wrong, she doesn't see a future with the person because she knows something will go wrong, and so she ends things preemptively, and then she might regret that in the future, but at the time that's a pattern that she goes through. Then I hate my reflection for years and years. So in reference to the last line of cutting off your nose to spite your face, she's seeing the reflection of her actions and how that choice has impacted the rest of her life and regretting it and holding on to that regret and that anxiety for years and years.
This is a standout line for me.
It's so, because also Taylor has spoken pretty openly about her body image issues, and how, just kind of applying this in general, this is not something Taylor specifically said, but how people will do things to be more beautiful, more conventionally attractive, thinner, etc. But then they still hate the reflection at the end of it because they're treating their body as a punishment instead of, embracing themselves. And just, there's always something to fix. Even if you reach whatever your physical goal was, if you're not coming from a place of loving yourself, there's always going to be something in a reflection that you hate. Living like every day as a punishment instead of a gift is just, it's very common and it's the worst.
And in terms of time, cutting off your nose is such a quick decision, quick action. It's done. And then she hates her reflection for years and years. So like one small decision just snowballs and affects you for so much longer.
Yeah. I wake in the night. I pace like a ghost. Anti-hero. Midnights become my afternoons. When my depression works a graveyard shift, all of the people I've ghosted stand there in the room. But also, I don't know if I was on something with this or if it doesn't make any sense. But like pacing like a ghost. So she's already dead. She can't change any of her past actions. She can't change things going forward. Like in This Is Me Trying, where at least she's trying. She's just an echo of herself and not a true representation. And she would scare anyone away who saw her.
Yeah.
The room is on fire. Invisible smoke. I feel like this is a really good way to describe anxiety, where the room's on fire, invisible smoke, like you feel like you're suffocating and you feel like there's this danger and this intense need to like get out, but in reality, like there's nothing there.
Yeah,
there's
no one
reason.
can see it. You can't even explain why you're feeling that way because it's invisible.
And all of my heroes die all alone. They say that the greatest loves of all time are over now. And I just wrote some of the great love stories that are tragedies, that the heroes die alone without their love there. Romeo and Juliet. Spoilers, I guess. Antony and Cleopatra. Like The Notebook. I mean, is this spoilers? I don't know. That came out so long ago.
It's long. You can spoil it.
But like all these characters that are these like epic love stories, but at the end, one character dies alone and the other character dies alone. So, and a lot of heroes also don't get to have happy endings because they die as martyrs or they die to save the world and their lover is left alone. But people idolize love and devotion as much as they idolize devastation that kind of love has the potential to create.
Also, people idolize their heroes, and their heroes are just people too. I mean, there's that expression, don't meet your heroes, for a reason.
Which we don't believe in. Taylor, please meet us.
True.
And the only line that is the same from pre-chorus to pre-chorus, help me hold on to you. Because she's just, this is, besides the chorus, this is the only thing that's repeated. And she's just begging him, like, help me hold on. I'm laying everything out on the table. This is exactly how I feel. Help me. In the second chorus, there is one difference from the other choruses. I've been the archer, I've been the prey, screaming, who could ever leave me, darling? Who could stay? She's just trying so hard to be understood, and she's trying so hard to break the cycle that she's been in for so long. And she still fears being alone. She still fears not being heard. Ouch. Yeah. And then at the end of this chorus starts the echo in the background of, I see right through me. I see right through me. It's this kind of echo in her mind before she can actually vocalize it and put it out into the bridge. It's another speech that she's written, but this one is actually making it out into the world.
I have a very quick curse thought that you can think about later, but Haunting of Hill House, Nell vibes, this whole song.
Yes.
Pacing like a ghost. She's screaming and no one can see her.
Yes. No. Now I'm in pain. Sorry. I wasn't before. And now on to the bridge. The whole bridge is just an anxiety spiral panic attack to me. The way that it's repeating, like how anxious thoughts will just repeat themselves over and over again in your mind. Especially, it feels to me like it's triggered by somebody criticizing her because they see right through me. So somebody pinpoints an insecurity and you're just gone. You're like, they can see it. Everyone can see it. Everyone knows what's wrong with me. Everyone knows that something's wrong with me. Like, it's that anxiety spiral.
Yeah, this is the panic attack.
Yes, this is the panic attack. Because they see right through me. We've talked a lot about the they in her songs, usually referring to like the public, the media, other people that don't know her's perception of her. And like the idea of somebody that you don't know picking up on one of your insecurities enough to vocalize it in a way that could hurt you is so painful. But then the idea of somebody that you actually know seeing the stranger point out the insecurity, and then if they realize that that's something that can also actually hurt you, we'll get there. But all of my enemies started out friends, a couple lines. So like that idea of somebody seeing her insecurities and being like, can you see right through me? Like, can you see this? What are you going to do with this information now that you know what can hurt me? I see right through me. Ouch.
Does she ask, do they see right through me? Is there
They
that
say,
too?
can you see right through me?
Can you see right through me? Yeah, it's like
they see right through me. Can you see through me? So
Yeah.
she's like asserting that they can see through, but it's like, can you also see through the mask that I'm putting up? Like, can you tell that I'm putting out this air of who I am?
And like I say, I don't want that, but what if I do?
Yeah, like you want somebody to know you, but it's so terrifying to be known.
Yeah. I see right. The way she
see right through
that,
me.
I see
And
right
it's just
through me.
Some like understanding yourself can be so painful sometimes because you have to be so honest and raw with yourself to really understand where insecurities come through a lot of times. And so even though it's like an important step, a lot of times it's so painful to go through.
Yeah.
And the final pre-chorus here, which I did note this is interesting because usually in Taylor's songs, she doesn't have a pre-chorus after the bridge. So the fact that it just is going back again is that reset, that cycle loop of anxiety.
For those who happen to be watching on YouTube, our video cut out, so now we're going to get audio only. For those just listening to audio only, you can continue listening as you have been.
Woohoo. All the king's horses, all the king's men. So, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses, all the king's men couldn't put him back together again.
Mm-hmm.
So the point of that story is to teach kids that sometimes when you break something, it's not fixable.
Yeah.
So Taylor feels like she's just been irrevocably changed into something that she can't go back to the person that she was before because of it. She's trying to be her old self again, but she's still trying to find it. And all too well, she can reclaim the land, but she can never make it the way it was before it was taken and bejeweled. Couldn't put me back together again. And this is to her what people are seeing through is that she's actually broken and everybody's, can see right through her. They can see the cracks in her armor and can see all the ways that she's, sensitive and I'm doing air quotes. Nobody can see them except me. Damaged. Like, and she wants to go back to who she was. Give me back my girlhood. It was mine first, but she can't go back. Because all of my enemies started out friends.
I think that's my favorite line.
The people that we love have the most power to hurt us.
Yep.
Because a stranger hurling an insult at you, you can sometimes be like, they don't actually know me. They're just like saying whatever, trying to hurt me. They're just being the worst, blah, blah, blah. But when somebody that you love and trust insults you, it hurts so much more because you come from this place of love and you tell them these things that make you vulnerable, and then to have them take that trust and destroy it and use that to hurt you is like, ouchie.
Yeah.
Help me hold on to you. Again, just that repetition of how desperate she is to hold on to this, even though she has all these anxieties and all these issues.
Yeah, because this time she's saying that all of my enemies started as friends, and then this immediately follows that. So just like, I don't want you to become an enemy. I don't want that to happen to what we have
Please don't
now.
ever become a stranger whose laugh I could recognize anywhere.
Okay, that was fucking rude.
I wasn't even going to say that because I didn't write it down until you were saying what you said. So it's on you, man.
My morally correct F word of the evening.
I'm so desensitized I don't even notice.
Oh, see, I always notice.
That's fair.
Very intentionally, I'm like, is this the one? This is the one.
Is this the fuck word? And then I just say fuck word. So then the choruses again. And again with the backup vocals of the like, I see right through me, I see right through me. But she repeats, but who could stay? Who could stay? Again with the anxiety spiral, the anxiety thoughts of like, who could stay? Who could stay? And then she changes it to you could stay.
Yeah.
This kind of like breaks the loop. She's you could stay, help me hold on to you. We love her use of you.
Honestly, the you could be a person that she's talking about, a friendship, someone she's in a relationship with. It really could be us as well. Like, you could stay. And she's saying, help me hold on to you. Like, don't turn on me. Especially since Lover came after the whole reputation thing.
Yeah.
And
also one thing with Lover that she talked about was how she was like, I don't know how long people are going to tolerate me being a big female musician and how long until people get sick of me.
Yeah.
So, ouch. And then again, like I mentioned at the beginning, the last line is combat. I'm ready for combat, looping back to the beginning again of the song. And this idea that even if she has this thought of how she can break the cycle of you could stay, she's not saying you are staying or you did stay. It's still a possibility. It's still a maybe. It's still something that's like she's introduced this way to break the cycle of like you could stay. You're okay, baby girl. You're okay, buddy. Spears crying. She does not like the end of the Archer, I guess. But there's still that undeniable fear and that anxiety that the future is going the future is going to repeat the past, that she's going to be hurt in the same way that she has been, even though there's now this possibility and this hope for things to be different.
What I love about this song is how that opening line seems so strong and so confident, and then over the course of the song she basically talks herself out of it through like the anxiety spiral and the insecurity, and she ends the song starting the cycle again, like, which is literally what we've been saying this whole time. But that structure and just the reality of when we decide to make that jump and do the hard thing and then we just can't. Yeah. And just making that choice over and over again.
It's a big ouch. We kind of already touched on my discussion question because I was going to say, like, what line from this song hurts the most, either to you or to think about it from Taylor's perspective?
Well, I will talk about this anytime, anywhere. You first.
I think I don't even know because all of it hurts so much. I think Help Me Hold On to You is the most painful line because it's that idea that she can't do it herself. And like, as Boy Genius said, I'm not strong enough to be your man. Like she doesn't feel like she's strong enough to be secure in the relationship without her partner helping her feel secure.
I think, obviously, I love All of My Heroes Died All Alone, All My Enemies Started Out Friends. Love those lines. So good. But when she says, I see right through me, just the way she sings that, the way that whole chorus builds, there's so much emotion behind it. That really hits me. That really hits me where it hurts.
That's a big ouch.
Yeah. Wow.
End of the episode. We don't have hint songs. We're taking next week off, so there will not be a new episode next week.
Because Kat's birthday is coming up.
My birthday's coming up.
And we're going on a girls trip.
So we just need a little week off. As discussed in this episode, we both are mentally drained and we don't want to do a half-assed podcast.
Sure.
We'd rather put our whole ass into it.
Whole ass only. Double ass on this pod. Because, you know, we both have one.
Double caked up on a Tuesday.
So anyway, now that
you wanted to imply that neither of us have asses.
I don't know.
We definitely have butts.
We definitely have those. We're sitting on them right now. Let's stop talking about it.
I'm just thinking about the movie Fresh.
Oh my God.
He cuts off her butt.
No.
I was thinking about that earlier in the week. Anyways, we like horror movies. Did you know that?
That movie.
But then the week after that, we don't have hint songs because it's going to be a special weird episode. So we'll explain that when we come back March 25th. And if you're listening to this in the future and this time skip does not apply to you, maybe take like an extra 5 minutes between episodes.
Yeah.
I'm binge listening to a podcast right now and he'll be like, I'm not posting next Monday, guys. And I'm like, Mike Schubert, it has been 3 years since you posted this. You're fine.
We're good. We're good over here.
Oh no, I have to wait 10 seconds for the next episode to load.
Everyone, take care of yourselves. Practice self-care.
Yes, go take a boba bath or lay on the ground. Floor time, great.
Yes. Or
lay on the ground and listen to a record. I've been doing that a lot this week.
Burn some candles, do some stretches. Whatever you got to do, man, just do it.
Just do it. And tell your friends to listen to Swift Floor Podcast.
Yeah, please. And this episode that we're doing next, we are literally so excited about. We've had it planned for months.
I'm so excited.
So get ready.
It's gonna be so good.
So good.
And also leave us reviews places. If you listen on Spotify, you can give a little star rating. If you listen on Apple, You can leave words, and every time that we get one, we text each other with a lot of exclamation points.
So many every time. And when people DM us too at SwiftLorePod on Instagram.
If one of us responds, know the other one saw the message in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, absolutely. And we always talk about how much we just appreciate it. And it's just so cool that you guys reach out to us and tell us things about you. So we love that.
It's so great. So follow us on Instagram at SwiftLorePod.
And on TikTok at SwiftLorePod.
And it's time for a crispy high five.
Yeah. I don't know why I sound like Voldemort just then.
Oh, that was crispy.
That one hurt. Just like these songs.
Bye.
Shakespeare's being real loud
She's
over
being
there.
so loud.
If
I
you
might
see
need to
that.
go take away her bone if she keeps being bad.
Bone. It's what I think about anytime anyone says bone.
Sorry,
Captain Holt.
continue your very serious
No, the way that I'm about to say something super dark. Okay, so here's the thing about Sexy Back by Justin Timberlake feat. Timbaland. I hadn't heard it in forever because why? Why would I listen to that song? Yeah. And it came on the radio for some reason, whatever. And so I just sat there and listened to it as I'm leaving my internship. And I was like, what is my life right now?
It's fucking weird.
It
It's
is-
a weird ass song.
It's a weird song. And I just have to say Timbaland, my dude. He goes, take it to the bridge. And then Justin sings the pre-chorus. And he does that every time.
Well, maybe they need to work on their communication.
Like, Timbaland, you don't even know about song structure. What are you doing?
He's just vibing.
Also, when I was in elementary school, I wrote a parody of that song about shapes and geometry.
No, that's not wasting potential.
Neither Taylor Swift nor Euclid could have done that shit.
I wrote a song in elementary school about our school mascot, Scribby, who is a giant bunny stuffed animal.
Oh, I forgot about Scribby.
To the tune of what's the song? Oh my god, wait, 5 Seconds Summer covered it. That's What I Like About You.
Oh.
And it was called That's What I Like About Scribby. Because I was a songwriting genius.
Wow, she's really good.
And now that you've listened to us blab for we've been recording for an hour and a half. Oh my god.
It's okay.
If you listen to this point, give me a little kiss. It was a forehead kiss. Don't be weird about it.
All right, bye. For real this time.